This is a child, and she is about to commit every war crime in the book. Not only does she commit fraud, contractually sell her soul, owe Hollywood directors hundreds of thousands of dollars, spread diseases, and gamble, but she will do so while wearing a hat in time. Hat in Time is a 3D platformer that takes place in space, where you, a tiny timekeeper, are just trying to protect timepieces. And on your way home, this bald bastard with an apron tries to bill you. But you slam the door on him, because you didn't order no goddamn DoorDash. But he insists that he is on the right address, so he just bursts through the window like the Kool-Aid Man, resulting in all the timepieces flying off, which you now need to recollect. So out of pure spite, you, the child, must now roll up on the fucking Mafia to reobtain those hourglasses. Use whatever method you can. Beat their asses with an umbrella, emotionally scar them, or blast them off like Team Rocket. Just make sure that your stance on them is clear. Now, the game quite obviously takes inspiration from Mario, primarily the Galaxy games. But whereas Nintendo has a more clean and commercial look with Mario, the developers of A Hat in Time, Gears for Breakfast, wears its indie identity like a badge of honor, kind of like Hat Girl does with her upgrades. And what I think their dev team have done so incredibly well is handcraft a genuinely charming world with unique spins on a genre that we thought was already tapped out of ideas. Each area has engaging characters in every corner of the map. A French cat that swaps out terrible food with their own, not for revenge, but for the love of cooking. British film studio birds with competitive drive that would sue you for breathing in the wrong tempo. An underworld demon who contractually binds you to child labor. And a blonde chick with a mustache who I'm pretty sure is just racist. All very charming and morally upstanding citizens. And of all of the games I could be saying this about, the voice acting is absolutely phenomenal.
I don't think I made this clear enough. Your opinion doesn't matter to me.
The cast was perfectly chosen. The voices fit their characters. The writing isn't full of plot twists, tragic deaths, or monologues about fate, but the delivery makes the characters memorable. And in a world where every other game recycles the same 6 voice actors to do the same voice in a different setting, A Hat in Time just makes its characters feel so special. Speaking of special, your hat. Probably should have mentioned that thing earlier. You can collect different hats that all vary, not only in style, but also in functionality. When you are lost, you can make sure that Hat Girl's default hat will point you in the right direction. The Sprint Hat lets you... Okay, I'm gonna give you 3 guesses to what the Sprint Hat does. The Ice Hat allows you to bounce from certain platforms to reach otherwise impossible areas. The Dweller Mask gives Hat Girl the power of, if you believe hard enough, it'll work, by being able to temporarily stand on otherwise non-physical platforms. Remember kids, reality is optional. And the Brewing Hat lets you... well, boom.
Kaboom!
Yes, Rico. Kaboom.
You can combine these hats and move around to get into crazy places by combining them with the default movements that include the mandatory double jump and a dive that looks like Ashton Holt's 4-minute pool dive. Wait, if he spent 4 minutes in the air, was there a time rift there? And now that I mention it, time rifts are additional challenges that you can find or unlock throughout the default levels. Most of them aren't exactly going to get your heart pumping, but as a new player, they can help you practice versus certain enemies, but also recap mechanics if you're a returning player who has taken time away from the game. As for the boss fights, they all have their signature style to them, whether it's limiting your 3D movement to 2D, having to move around fast opposed to having to slow things down in favor of survival, finding a bathroom stall, and... Wait, you actually fight a bathroom stall? Which all culminate into this grand final fight, which I won't show, but imagine everything you faced prior being thrown at you at once. Like, literally. The soundtrack is also very good, giving each distinct area their own vibe, making the Mafia seem full of themselves and mean. The detective level slips some fine jazz through your mind as you think of how to solve the mystery. And after you're done sneaking around the eerie forest with mischievous spirits, you'll be hit with a combination of your whole journey towards the end of the road. And even when you're done with the main story, the community has plenty of mods and community challenges that you can play and challenge yourself with, which are all filled with cool ideas, hilarious voice lines, setup, and originality. What I will say is that A Hat in Time is a short game. In my first playthrough, I finished the main story in about 8 hours. But within those 8 to 10 hours, there was no filler, no wasted space, no unnecessary grinding, no lackluster gameplay mechanics, or forgettable characters. The devs really wanted to make every second count, to the extent that they placed the terms of service on the back of a blackboard with the captcha code being DC before I lose. For example, in that same level, there's an achievement you can get, which isn't exactly challenging, but it is an achievement that exists only to let the player know that the devs knew what most people would do in that scenario, and to show us the depth and detail they put into this silly little game. Now, I won't call the game flawless, but for someone aiming to reach the sun, I'd say they at least made it to Mercury. A Hat in Time sits at the table amongst the greatest 3D platformers that I have ever played. It feels like a passion project made by fellow gamers who knew what made other platformers great and built a game only upon that foundation and didn't waste a single brick. Everything had its place, its purpose, and its time in the limelight. Even the hat. Thank you for watching.
Subscribe!